Ofsevit is an active member of the Livable Streets Advocacy Committee. He is also our project lead on the I-90 Allston Interchange Task Force. And he is going to tell you more about this project.
The I-90 Interchange, you've probably been over it. It's where you go up on a bridge in Allston over the railroad tracks. You have a nice view of the city, except you can't really see it because you're trying to avoid the other cars and trucks, and there's traffic and such. And it was built in the 60s, and it's falling down, and it built at the same time as the Ave Bridge, which is literally falling down, so it needs to be replaced. And what we have right now, oh, sorry, okay, I can hear myself, but what we have right now is we have a highway. We have a highway over railroad. It's really complex because it's not just a highway, it's the railroad, it's the Worcester line, it's the Grand Junction. The land ownership is insane because the state sold it to Harvard about 10 years ago. Because politics, and because Harvard, because politics, it's confusing, and this is what we have today. And right now, the original plan was basically to say, okay, we have this, well, we can replace this, and we can make the lanes a little wider, and we can make the curve a little less, and it's going to be great. And a bunch of us said, maybe that's not the greatest idea because this is an area along the river, and it connects a lot of things, and maybe there's another way to do it. So we have a really complex project. It is not quite as complex as the Big Dig, but I think it's actually pretty close. It's an elevated highway. It has a lot of transit infrastructure underneath it. It needs to be replaced, and we're looking to replace it. So the land ownership is sort of insane. You have Harvard, you have MassDOT, you have BU as an abutter, but not actually a stakeholder, but they don't feel that great about that. So everyone sort of has a piece of the puzzle. It's an insane puzzle. All the Harvard land is a Harvard-owned land with a MassDOT easement, but all the rail yard is owned by CSX, and they have, CSX is the railroad, and they have contaminated stuff, and it goes on. And apparently Harvard has a veto over anything the state wants to build anyway. So it gets confusing of who does what and whose hand is in what pot and how that's all gonna go. But there are a ton of opportunities. There's great opportunities for transportation. There's opportunities for commuter rail, there's opportunities for buses, the Green Line runs by it. There's opportunities for recreation, bicycling and walking especially, which of course are also transportation. There's opportunities, huge opportunities for economic development, and that's why Harvard has the land, and we want to basically have this be good for economic development. So narrow streets and have a place, have somewhere where people can enjoy being and walking and not just the seaport with a bunch of even wider roads. And it's also somewhere where we could create a place, somewhere that people want to be. And right now what we have is a highway that doesn't work, and it really doesn't work for anyone. It certainly doesn't work well for bikes and pedestrians. It certainly doesn't work well for transit. It doesn't really work well for cars even, as you can see. And if you drive through there, you'd know that. And as Fred Salvucci has said, 50 years ago, we took the railroad from 2 tracks to 1. There's actually only 1 through track of the Worcester line. It's the biggest bottleneck going in and out of the city from the west. So we have an opportunity for a lot of connections. We have an opportunity here for these are potential walking connections. And then you can throw on top of that, you can throw on bicycle connections, and you can put on transit connections. You have the Grand Junction, which is a potential transit walk-bike connection over to Cambridge. You can connect both sides of Allston. You can connect everything to and from the river. It's also an opportunity to really make a better place. Right now, so it's an opportunity to make better accessibility. Right now, the only way to get to the river between Mass Ave and River Street is on stairs like this that are certainly not accessible and not really easy, even if you are an able-bodied person, especially one with a bike. It's an opportunity to have better path facilities. This path is 4.5 feet wide. Try having two bikes ride in opposite directions by each other. And it's an opportunity for slower traffic, to have narrower roads and slower traffic that's better for everyone and fits into Vision Zero, as we've heard so much tonight. So the original idea that we had is, let's create a people's pike. Let's create something that carries people along this alignment, something that connects the river to Allston. And we've sort of gotten thinking, we've taken a lot of steps of, okay, well maybe you have the highway below and the railroad above, or maybe you have a park above and everything at grade, and how do you do that? How do you make those connections? And one idea is to say, okay, put the highway down and build a park. This is Seattle, they put a park over their highway. Phoenix has put a park over their highway, one of them, they have a lot of highways. This is something that has been done in other places. We're not going to rip out the highway. We, for better or worse, probably need that transportation facility for a long period of time, but we can do something better with it. So maybe we build an elevated bike path. This is the 606, which is sort of the High Line of Chicago, an old railroad grade that's been built into a park. This is the High Line itself in New York, and it has a nice view of the river, and if we had something here that had a nice view of the river, and also connected. Right now we have a path along the river that doesn't connect to anything. This is, anyone know what this is? Madison. This is Monona Terrace. And why I put this in, this is a building that was built over a highway and a railroad that's about the same width as what we have. They have a little more elevation. They probably not going to get something like this, but this is sort of what we could look at Monona Terrace and say, okay, this is an opportunity to build over the highway in that way. We've made a lot of progress. The original plan was a big highway suburban interchange and basically big high looping ramps that would have been worse than what's there and taken up more land. We went in and said, this is a bad idea, and the state said, okay. And we've made some progress, but I think there's still a lot of ways to go. The state still wants to build a big highway viaduct, and they're saying, oh, that we get a little extra parkland, but it's going to have a highway viaduct closer to the river. I don't think that's the way to go. We're working to get something that's going to be a lot better, and so we have an opportunity between building a new highway and building a new place, and I think we should go for the latter.